Hi, it's Jason Waters, and welcome to my Mortgage Minute. Today, I'm excited to have Mechel McKinley-Hoffman with us. Welcome, Mechel.
Hey, Jason.
Thanks for being here. Mechel is with Keller Knapp Realty. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm.
Thanks so much, Jason, for having me. Like Jason said, my name is Mechel, and I'm with Keller Knapp Realty. Keller Knapp is a small-ish boutique firm that has historically done a lot of business in the perimeter. But as our company has grown over the past few years, we've expanded and more agents are working outside of the perimeter, including myself. I'm from Marietta. I live in Cobb County, and I work all the way from Ackworth to Macon. So any real estate needs, all points in between.
Awesome. Great. So Mechel, what are you seeing in this market? Are you seeing slowdown over the last couple of weeks, or is it as hot as it has been?
It is still really moving fast. Right now, nationally, average days on market is 17. And I was preparing for this interview, I was looking last night, and right now the Atlanta Metro is at 16 average days on market. So things are moving really fast still. If you're a seller, you can probably still expect multiple offers if your house is, move-in ready to go. And if you're a buyer, that still means you're probably going to have a really strong proposal when you come in. And that means you need to work really closely with your realtor and your lender to make sure you're pre-qualified and have all your ducks in a row to put in the very best offer you can.
Yep, 100% agree. I mean, it's such a different world. It's still very much a seller's market. And, we quit doing pre-qualifications. We only do pre-approvals. And so it's really important for people to get their lender, their income information, their asset information, every single thing. And I underwrite it all up front. And so I'm just saying, okay, I just need a property. You're good to go, because no one's pre-qualification is not worth as much anymore.
Exactly. You have to have it all ready before you even make an offer. You have to have all those things together. There's no more waiting a couple of days for your lender to get the letter together or what have you. You've got to be ready to go. As a buyer, you have to be, ready to walk in and make an offer on something if you like it. So, and it's
right.
Especially for first-time home buyers, we're seeing a lot of them drop out of the market because it's just so frustrating. I just closed a deal actually in my neighborhood. It was an off-market listing that I was preparing to take to market. And I talked with another agent, and she had a client that had lost like 6 or 7 different properties with multiple offers. And she was like, can we please see it before you put it on the market? And we just closed on Tuesday because they were able to get in before anybody else did. So yeah. Having a realtor that has a good connection, has good connections, and is always looking for those opportunities is really important right now.
I 100% agree. And I've seen so many for sale by owner situations either get messed up because, obviously I work closely with realtors. So, I'm a big fan. I can see the value every single day. People try to save a little bit of money, and I don't think they do. And then especially a seller in this market, you might save a little bit on commission, but you're missing out on a whole lot of people seeing that house to start bidding on it. So
yeah, exactly. I totally respect somebody's, decision to do a for sale by owner, but typically they're leaving somewhere. I think it's between $12,000 and $10,000 and $20,000 on the table. They think they save a little bit on, like you said, on the commission. They're leaving cash on the table in terms of sale price. So,
exactly.
It pays to have somebody who is, able to run good comparables for you and put together a good market analysis. Who's going to do the marketing, who's going to have the professional photos taken. All those things are so important. Even in a seller's market, you still have to have all of those pieces together for your marketing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with selling, wanting to sell your house on your own, but a realtor brings a lot of expertise to the table that is very valuable.
Agreed. I've had situations recently where this would not have happened with the realtor, where someone's buying a house and the appraiser goes out there and there's not a functional kitchen. And of course, I didn't know there wasn't a functional kitchen until the appraiser went out there, but the realtor would have said, hey, there has to be a functional kitchen. So it's a different world for sure. So, all right. What are you seeing right now? Like improvement in terms of inventory, or are we still going downward?
Just a little bit, Jason.
Okay.
Just But we have seen over the past from June to July, we did see a little tiny uptick. We're right now the Atlanta Metro is at 1.4 months of inventory. And if somebody doesn't know what that means, months of inventory, that means that it would take 1.4 months to absorb all of the inventory that's out there. And so we're starting to see a little bit of a climb there. And I think my initial thoughts were that we would see that through the end of the year. I do have some concerns based on, all the public health things that are happening, that we might see some sellers who were going to come to market may still decide to, pull back a little bit. So, but I'm hoping that it will continue to improve.
Yes, I'm interested to know what's going to happen when the foreclosure and what was I trying to say, eviction protections go away, and I think you're going to see a lot of inventory come on the market, like at that price point when that happens.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. They just extended the eviction moratorium until October, which is helpful for those families. We certainly don't need them, moving around and all that kind of stuff with everything that's going on. But at some point, the chickens will come home to roost, as it were, and we will unfortunately have to go through that. I think the last time I looked, I think there's like 300,000 homes in Atlanta that have the potential to end up in the foreclosure realm. And that is, they won't all come to market at the same time, which is good for us. No offense to your former banking career, but so, I think we will start to see some of that though by the end of the year. And what that does to, prices and inventory is going to be interesting to watch.
Yes, I think so for sure. So we talked a little bit about sellers, having a good realtor, staging the house, those kind of things. Talk a little bit about buyers in terms of pre-approval, but let's dive a little bit more on buyers. So what other kinds of advice would you give buyers?
Well, I mean, again, it's really critical to sit down from the very beginning and have a really open and honest conversation with the realtor that you choose as a buyer. What is your price point? Is there wiggle room on that? If you're a first-time home buyer or any kind of home buyer, frankly, around $200,000 to $250,000 right now, that there is nothing on the market.
Very tough.
And so, do you have a little bit of wiggle room? Do you have some extra cash squirreled away that you thought you didn't want to touch, but maybe now you can bring that to the table as a down payment? Right. So all of those things are really critical. And then really being thoughtful about what your expectations are. If you are in that, in a lower price point, you're not going to get, the ensuite master bathroom with the walk-in closet. You're probably looking at something a little with smaller rooms, and that's going to need some work done to it. And I know that's frustrating sometimes to somebody who's ready to, make their stamp and be a homeowner, but just, having reasonable expectations of what is available in this kind of market. And then also having, and this is both on the realtor and the lender side, but also the buyer has to understand the urgency of this market. This is not the kind of market that you can go home and sleep on, or wait a couple days and see the house again. You have to really be prepared to be aggressive. If you think you like a house, you've got to be able to make an offer immediately. This is not like I said, it's not a go home and sleep on it kind of situation.
That's right. That's right. You got to go. So, I'm seeing, obviously, this, but for folks watching, no financing contingency, so we get it approved in 48 hours. So as long as there's due diligence period is fine. Rushed appraisals, get them back in 7 days. I mean, it's just everything we possibly can. And where I have seen the biggest challenge are for folks that don't have a lot of money to put down, because if that house does not appraise, then there's no wiggle room to pay above the appraisal, right? So like if you're putting 20% down and then I can help you buy out your mortgage insurance and help with that differential, we can do that. But for folks that have 3 to 5%, that's where it's those are the folks right now, unfortunately, I'm seeing just say, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything, we're kind of seeing everything. like you mentioned, really short financing contingency, no appraisal or, a waived appraisal, and really short due diligence periods, maybe 3 days, sort of typically it might be 7 days, but now it's 3 days if you're lucky. And I'll just, and we have, especially in a buyer situation, we have an inspector on the ready so that we know when the next appointment is so that we can do in those 3 days. So we have to move, we just all have to be able to move really quickly. And when you get something under contract, you've got to make sure that you follow those steps. And so that's why, again, why it's really important to work very closely with your realtor and your lender to make sure all of those little thresholds are being met so that nothing happens to that contract once you get.
Absolutely. Hey, so here's a question for you. How do you pick a realtor?
How do you pick a realtor? Well, there are a lot of ways to do it. You can just Google somebody. I like to build my business on referrals and, by people that I know, because I feel like that way there's at least an initial relationship and that we can build upon that. But I think it's really important, having bought a house before myself, it's important that you do have that really trusting relationship with your realtor, whether you're on the selling side or the buying side. Either way, there are a lot of emotions that go into buying and selling a home. It's not something that Joe Smith does every day. And so, it needs to be somebody that you really, really trust and can have open and honest conversations with as you go through the process. So, reach out to your friends or family. If they've, bought or sold a house recently, they probably can give you a recommendation. And don't feel like you have to go with the first person's name that you come across, on Google. Interview several people, take some time to get to know them. I like to spend at least 1, if not 2 meetings with a client before we even go out and start looking at a house. Or if it's a seller, I really want to make sure we sit down for a couple of hours. We spend a lot of time in the house together. We talk about what they love about the house. And then it comes down to some real, like I said, honest conversations about, okay, well, you're going to have to paint this red wall. You're going to have to paint it gray because we're not listing it with red walls. That's just, right. But that really cute picture that your daughter made in 4th grade. Well, we need to take that down. So, you have to, on both ends, you have to be really honest, and feel like you can have those conversations with people. So I tell friends who are either thinking about getting into real estate or asking me about real estate, half my job is to be a realtor and the other half of my job is to be a counselor and a therapist. So you really have to have a good relationship with the person that's going to buy or sell your house.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because you end up with all kinds of situations. You got divorce situations, you got marriage situation, you got every type of, I'm similar. Probably not as much into it as you are, but it happens all the time where I'm getting these tough conversations with people. So
absolutely. I had a client crying on my shoulder this morning. So yes. You have to take a step back and think about where they're coming from and moving is one of the most stressful things to do in life. And so you have to remember these people are moving, which is terrible. It's exciting, but also terrible.
Yes, exactly.
To be, you got to be their friend and sometimes give a little tough love and do a little bit of counseling and also write a contract.
Exactly. I'll say that's like we were talking about earlier. That's what I love about this job. It's so personal. It's so you're actually helping people. It's so much better than corporate finance to me in terms of doing multi-million-dollar commercial loans. To me, it's just rewarding every day. So
yes, absolutely. I love nothing more to sit at a closing table and talk to the buyer and seller and, listen to the seller tell stories about, this is the house we brought our kids home to. And then the buyer gets to hear all of that and learn the history of it. And I love to hear, just bring everybody together at the table and celebrate at that closing.
Yep, absolutely. It's the best day of your week for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So how can folks get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on our website. It's kellerknapprealty.com. You can also, my email address is mechelmckinley@gmail.com. I'm going to spell that because my name is spelled differently. It's MECHELMCKINLEY @gmail. So you can find me that way, or you can always call or text me, and that's 205-529-0094.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Mechel. Again, I'm Jason Waters. Thank you for tuning into the Mortgage Minute. You can reach me on my phone at 404-403-8787, my website at watersteam.co, or of course on any social media platform. Just search my name, Jason Waters, Mortgage Minute, and look at all of our videos to see how you can learn more about buying or selling your home. Until next time, take care.